The New Orleans Saints. I know football season has kicked off. Preseason games have been played. The Saints finished off 9-8 last year, missed the playoffs. Under their second season with Dennis Allen. Now, of course, they had additions like Derek Carr. They released guys like Michael Thomas, but of course, they still got Chris Olave. They still got Alvin Kamara. They try to rework the offensive line with a couple of draft picks. Defensively, they're still strong, adding Kool-Aid to that secondary room. Last night, they played in their first ever preseason game. Now, preseason games to me, I'm not sure how you feel about it, Fitz. Preseason games to me are just vanilla. I mean, you're just going to see guys just getting their feet wet, especially their early draft picks. But what did you see last night, if that showed you any indication that the Saints can be something coming into the 2024 season?
For sure. So first of all, uh, being completely transparent, I was watching the first half, and brother, I went to sleep. I was I was KO. I woke up and the news was on. I said, "Oh my goodness!" So I went back, watched some of the instant replay of stuff, watched through some of the highlights. And one of the things that really jumped out on, immediately for me was the defense. Like they were rushing the passer, they were getting after the quarterback. And again, like you said, it's not the ones. It's a lot of rotators. It's a lot of guys that are trying to make NFL rosters, that are trying to become a part of the 53-man team. But they were getting after it, bro. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think they might have had like 3 or 4 sacks somewhere in there. I know in one of the opening drives, number 96, I know he got a sack in there. I think they got a 4th-and-1 stop somewhere right before halftime happened. So the offense was clicking. The second thing is that the number 2 quarterback, whoever it's going to be, they're going to be a gunslinger. And if Derek Carr is half stepping in any kind of way, look, I know that he is a huge investment, and I hope that he pans out because that is a lot of money that the Saints have paid to get him there to New Orleans. But if there is any half stepping and a change needs to be made, Jake Hayner or Spencer Rattler could be able to step in there. Spencer Rattler helped to lead them on that game-winning drive of what they had to ultimately come out on top 16-14. Jake Hayner had, a deep ball down the field to A.T. Perry to set them up for a late field goal right before halftime. So, it was just a lot of impressive things for the reserve players that were able to come out there and make good plays. The ones groups, like you said, like I think they got maybe one drive, maybe 1.5 or something like that. They didn't do very much. And then, like you said, also it's a lot of vanilla stuff. So you're not going to get a whole lot of plays that you're going to see in there anyway. But like I said, the defense looked very solid in the spots where they needed to. They got off the field in a lot of third down situations. They created stops. And that's ultimately what you're going to want to do in order to, keep your offense on the field and give them more opportunities to be able to go and score.
Yeah, man. Like you said, man, the rotation pieces is what's really important about preseason. But look, you can say this all you want. We're waiting for Derek Carr to take this extra step, this next step, this next step. He took his steps. This is me personally. I feel like Spencer Rattler should be the starter coming in by week 5 or 6. Derek Carr
Hot
has
take.
shown. Hey, Derek Carr has shown what he can do in this league for a long time now. Prove me wrong, brother. Go out there and play ball out like an MVP season. But we seen what we seen from Derek Carr. I mean, last year they rushed him back a lot from concussion protocols and other injuries when they had Jameis Winston on the bench. This year they have a young guy with Spencer Rattler, a new offensive coordinator coming from San Francisco. So with that being said, if that system doesn't work for Derek Carr, which will be probably his second system, I would say, in New Orleans, then it's time for you to just go ahead, pull him, and let the young guy get a chance because that defense is very good with Cam Jordan, Marcus Lattimore, with Taylor on the outside. You drafted Kool-Aid. You have guys on that defensive side, Demario Davis. You have defensive guys on that side that can keep you in ball games. But to win those ball games, you got to have a guy under center to at least do his job well. We're not asking for a Patrick Mahomes, but if you can get me a first down consistently and get me into that field goal range, I'm cool with that. But I just don't think Derek Carr is this answer. I know it's only game 1 of the preseason, but it is what it is.
That's real tough, man, because when you pay $100 million for a quarterback, some gotta he gotta pan out some kind of way. Like absolutely, you draft a guy on the back end. You have Jake Hayner in there as well, but you draft a guy like Spencer Rattler that, coming out of high school, bro. Like, I remember watching him on Netflix with QB1. Like, he was supposed to be the next best thing for sure. And, he had his ups and downs in college, but he still made a lot of splash plays here and there. A lot of people try to pull out character flaws about somebody that he is based on what he was as a high school kid. I don't necessarily think that he is that same person now. I haven't been around him or interacted with him, but I can tell by the way that he commanded the offense in the drives that he was in the game that he's not that same person, that he can be able to command an offense. To say, though, that Derek Carr got to be benched by week 5, brother, that's
Man,
kind of tough. I don't know about that one. I feel like you give him a good portion of this season, right? And once you know what type of contender you're going to be, like, if you're not contending for the playoffs by week, not 8, 9, hey, let's go ahead and let's roll in Spencer and let's start seeing what we can do for the future. What can we get for Derek on the back end of a trade and things like that? But I think Derek still has things in the tank. I think that it all just has to come together for him. He's always, had a very great arm in the way that he's been able to throw the football. He's always had a gunslinger mentality. He's very passionate about what he wants for this team. It just hasn't clicked yet. And, for this to be the second year that he's there in New Orleans and his second offensive coordinator, it's going to take a little bit of time, and the thing about preseason games is that you barely play any of it. The first game, the starters either don't play or they play little. The second game is kind of, it used to be somewhere in between. Third game was the dress rehearsal, but you got one less game now. So now it's that second game that's more of like your dress rehearsal. They might play a full half. They might play 3/4. It just kind of depends on what they see and what they get out of the team. But honestly, what your real test is, the true quote unquote preseason, is like the first 2 or 3 weeks. You know what I'm
yep.
saying? A lot of teams are able to come straight out of the gate and they're able to click, but it doesn't always work like that. And I think a lot of what happened to New Orleans last season is, coming out of the gate, they weren't good in red zone situations, and it hurt them in a lot of games. I remember being at the Texans game, just watching it from the stands, and they would get down to the red zone, they drive all the way down the field, they get there, and they couldn't punch it in, and that eventually caught up to them on the back half of the season, and it puts you in a position where you end up going 9-8. So I don't think that Spencer Rattler will take over by week 5. Uh, I do believe that with this new offensive system, if Derek Carr can get his footing under him, I think the Saints can potentially be a special team going into the postseason for sure.
now I'm gonna have a calendar, and I'm gonna mark down the weeks. We're gonna see Spencer Rattler. I mean, I agree. I'm not calling for Derek Carr's job. Honestly, I
No,
really
you
want.
just did, brother. You just
I want
called.
him to succeed. I want him to succeed. But I'm just saying, like, when you have a veteran defense, you know how it is. You got a veteran team. How much longer can you wait? I mean,
No, for sure.
It's not like Derek Carr is not a veteran in this league. He's a veteran, a proven veteran that had good years with him, bad years with him as well. But when you have a defense like that, I'm sorry, man. I'm looking at him like we can't put up points on defense side. We can, but that's not our job. That's your job. We're supposed to stop these guys. I don't want to be a tie every time 0-0, 0-3 ball game when you have like a guy like Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara on that offensive side of the football. So that's why I'm at with it. I want him to be successful in the league, but when you have things going, Pete Carmichael was trash last year anyway. I remember when we went to the Detroit game and one of the goal line calls was a double reverse, and I just looked at it. I know that's not what he called, but that's not Derek Carr's fault. That's Pete's fault. But at the end of the day, like I said, Derek Carr got to if he's going to take an extra step, and whatever that step is, I hope it's something that just get the Saints over the hump.
Next opportunity that we get to see the New Orleans Saints play in a preseason game will be Sunday, August the 18th. They will play against the San Francisco 49ers. They will be on the road once again, going out there to San Fran.